Greetings everybody, my name is Heather and welcome to my channel. And today is going to be interesting because I have decided to do a sort of book review slash book talk slash rant slash monologue where I talk about these books, all three of them, this trilogy, because I don't know if you've been following me for a couple months, but every now and then I will mention the Shatter Me series, and you might be really confused about how I feel about it, and that's because I'm really confused about how I feel about it. And I've been kind of in a little bit of a book slump. I wanted to read something that was easily digestible, and I did. Like, Unravel Me took me 2 days. On the second day, like when I finished this, I read half of this and then finished it the next day. Like, okay. So from there, I would say these are good books because I could read them so fast. I was entertained, I was immersed. However, let's take a step back here and let me rant a little bit. Okay, so the first book, sorry, this is gonna be spoilers. Like, they're gonna be spoilers abound. So if you've never read this series, then basically the Shatter Me trilogy is about a girl named Juliet who has this curse or ability. Basically anyone who touches her or anyone she touches, she basically like sucks the life out of them. So she's been put into this mental asylum by her parents, who you never meet her parents. You basically believe, wow, her parents must be really shitty and horrible people to do this to her. I don't know, at some point very early on she meets a boy named Adam, and then you meet another boy named Warner, and there's a love triangle. I feel like that's all I can say about it to the people who've never read this series. But yeah, so now you're about to be spoiled. So, oh my god, she falls in love with Adam because what? He can touch her, and he's the only one in her life who's ever been able to touch her. Like, whoa. So here I am thinking, this is a little contrived, but okay, it's, you know, but then just because they can touch, all of a sudden they're like making out every chapter. Like, why? Why does this have to happen? They're making out, they're saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, and now all of a sudden they're in a relationship and they want to spend the rest of their lives together. And then later on in the book, when she escapes Warner's like captivity or something, he can touch her too. So now the two boys who are super hot are interested in her, can touch her. Oh my god. So of course she and Warner make out, even though she hates him and he is a sick fuck, or so you think in the first book. You kind of like it. Like, that's how I left the book, where I'm like, wow, I hate Adam, he's super annoying, but Warner is like kind of, you know, there must be something to him that makes him so interesting and so evil. Like, I kind of want Juliet to become this evil, crazed murderer and kill everybody with her super awesome power that she whines about every single second of her life. So pretty much Juliet is very psychologically traumatized, of course. Part of me is very understanding of this, and part of me just wants her to like shape up, which thankfully she eventually does. I mean, that's good. So, but yeah, basically first book, she's always crying, she's always blushing for some reason, and of course she's super gorgeous, so every single male character in the book is always like drooling over her. Why does everyone catch her around the waist? Like, they're trying to get her to stop moving. So it's almost like in my mind, they're like diving forward and like scooping her. He caught me around the waist. He grabbed me by the waist. He touched my waist. Like, normally, I don't know, I feel like if someone's trying to like get my attention or stop me from going somewhere, your arms are like the things that get grabbed. You know, sometimes I grab her arms, but it's like, it seems like it's more work than it's worth, but maybe they were just trying to feel her up. I don't know. There are no other interesting females in this book. It's basically Juliet and like a bunch of guys. Some of these guys are really interesting. Like, I really liked Kenji. I felt like, thank God Tahereh Mafi added Kenji into this story, because he is the comedic relief. He is the character that basically is like, you're being ridiculous. You're being ridiculous. Juliet, you're being super ridiculous and super emotional and dramatic. You need to like stop whining and shape up. Cool. So Kenji, who I really liked, I think I already mentioned that, he was always telling her like, you're being really dramatic, blah, blah, blah. You, Juliet, felt like Adam was the first person who was ever nice to you, and turned out that he could actually touch you. So you probably felt like you had to fall in love with him by default. I was like, yeah. Abso-freaking-lutely. And Adam loved her because she was so good and so kind and so pure and kind of meek and quiet and cowardly that he had to take care of her. So when she started to change, he couldn't handle that, and he became super whiny and super rude. And I'm like, dear God, I really hope they don't actually end up together, because this is not going to work out for me. And then he even started kind of liking another, like one of the very like flat background females who was quiet. And when I saw that that was happening, I was like, oh God, of course. But then even Juliet, like literally the next paragraph, she was like, that makes sense, because she reminds me of how I used to be. But yeah, so there are no other interesting females in this book. All the other females are very, very boring and flat characters. The attention was very focused on her, but I mean, it's first person present tense, so there's that. But I thought that this book series would have been so much more interesting to me and so much better if it had like different perspectives. And I know that she has some novellas, or I think 2, Destroy Me and then something else, and at least one of them is from Warner's perspective, which honestly I have no desire to read. I feel like she really fleshed out his character enough that I can kind of grasp what's going on in his mind. The Lunar Chronicles to me is so interesting and so well written and so complex, because you get like everyone's perspective. Like, you know, there's so many things that happen, it seems like, in the Shatter Me trilogy that are so cool and so interesting and action packed, but it happens off the page. Like, you don't get to see those scenes because they don't happen to Juliet. A lot of the battle scenes, I don't know, would have been so much cooler if you had gotten those perspectives. Like, I don't know, for example, what the heck was Warner doing at the end of Ignite Me? Do you know? I don't know. I feel like almost if you had like cut out a lot of the junk that happened in these books, so much more could have happened. So basically the series ends where she starts to destroy the reestablishment, which is like this government that's taking control of their dystopian world, and it's a horrible world to live in where people are starving and everyone's freezing and they've destroyed the planet. So at the end of Shatter Me, when they escape Warner's base, they get to this place called Omega Point, which is run by this guy named Castle, who is studying different abilities. So you start to see that other people have these like really cool abilities, and so he wants to study Juliet's ability, her gift, even though she views it as a curse. So it turns out one of her abilities is that she's actually super strong, and somehow that has to do with how she can kill people by touching them. And I feel like it was attempted to explain how that's related, but I don't know. And now she's bulletproof. I don't know. All these things get added into it. But anyway, he's studying abilities, and he's also training these people on some, you know, ways to eventually abolish the reestablishment, which has basically taken over the entire world. And Warner's dad is basically the president of the United States, or like, they don't call it the United States, but North America. He's in charge of that section of the world. So he's super evil. And that's why you think Warner is super evil. But then, so book 2 starts where they're at Omega Point, and Juliet is like kind of training, but she doesn't really care because her life is so hard and everything sucks. But then at one point she sees Warner again, and so you're still thinking he's super evil, although you're actually really attracted to him because of how sick he is. But she sees a little stray dog run up to him, and I'm like, oh God, they're gonna make Warner even more attractive, because of course he's gonna be nice to this stray dog. She's all worried that he's gonna kill him, but me as the reader, I'm like, no. The author is gonna make us like him and make us think that he's a good guy. And so he's really nice to the stray dog and he feeds the stray dog. And then you're like, oh my god, he's a good person. And now he's captured and now he knows Juliet so well and oh my god. But then Adam, even though Adam and Juliet have like broken up at this point because Juliet loves him too much and doesn't want to hurt him because turns out he actually is not immune to her touch. His ability is to disable powers, which is super lame. But now that he's more comfortable with her, he doesn't like have his defense mechanisms up, so he actually can almost die, or he almost died by touching her, by making out. But anyway, so they've broken up because Juliet doesn't want to hurt him. So now they've captured Warner and she's spending all this time with him, but Adam is just like, wow, why are you spending all this time with him? You're just slowly starting to like Warner even more and more and more and more. And then you get to this point in the second book where like they're about to do it, okay? And let me tell you, this author, girl, can write some sex scenes, or like the beginning of them. The, you know, the foreplay, if I may. She was very good at that. Like that was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then of course Juliet's like, no, Adam, I love him. Oh my god. And so she got, you know, she cock-blocked him. But yeah, it is what it is. You know, it makes us anticipate it even more. In terms of, and now I'm jumping to something else. Wow, I'm really bad at reviews. But in terms of the writing style, I absolutely abhorred it. It was almost just in your face, metaphorical. So many metaphors, or the seams of my heart have ripped open. My veins are filled with ice and I am dying. I am dead. I am dying and I am dead. But it's like supposed to be stylistic. I don't know. And then of course in the very beginning, like pretty much the first half of the book, there's all these strike-throughs. She's like, oh, he's so hot, but she crosses out, so hot, so nice, or something. You know what I'm saying? You can tell that throughout the book, they start to become less and less apparent, or like they don't happen as often, because Juliet is not so alone in the world anymore, so she actually has people to talk to, I guess, where it used to just be her and her mind. So there's a lot of character development. Juliet grew so much as a character. She started out this whiny little girl who cried all the time and, you know, at one point was very aware of the fact that she was a whiny little girl. And in the last book, she's like, I am so angry because I had the ability to break out of the asylum at any point, but I was too much of a coward to attempt that. So yeah, but a lot of that is attributed to finally getting to know Warner and getting to know that all along he wasn't really trying to just use her as a weapon. He was actually trying to help her develop her powers so that he could overthrow his father. And so he had it, he knew she had it in her all along. He always wanted to help her get angry so that she could get to the next step, which was gain that confidence and master her ability and all that. I was actually kind of hoping that someone really important and lovable would die, but of course, as is pretty typical with young adult fiction, I feel like authors are very scared to kill off a lovable character. This happened at the end of the Twilight series where I mean, when the Twilight series came out, I really liked it, and then as I was growing up, and then I read the last one, I was like, she had this great battle scene, and it didn't happen, and no one died. And yet there's Harry Potter, where, I mean, if you haven't read it, I'm not going to spoil it, but people die who you absolutely love, and it breaks your heart, and that's part of what makes the series really good. So I kind of really wanted Kenji to die, especially towards the end there. They became really good friends. Best friends, and I wanted him to die, or Warner. I don't know, I just wanted someone to die. Technically, a lot of people died. Even at one point, she was like, I'm glad no one I knew died. Or like, mentioned something along those lines. I guess what I'm saying is, I'm really confused. And that's what the whole point of this video is, because this series has just been one of those things that I've been really wanting to finish, because I thought that maybe if I finished it, I'd figure out how I felt about it, because the first book was just kind of boring to me, and it started out just kind of weird and indulgent, and then turned into some sort of X-Men thing, and so I was really confused, kind of curious and kind of not. But then these last two that I pretty much powered through over the past couple of days, because of Juliet's character development, I started to like the series so much more. But that doesn't change the fact that I didn't really like the style that it was written in, and I thought it could have been a lot more complex. But I was still entertained, and I don't know, like, that's just what I'm really confused about. So I don't even feel comfortable rating these books. I'm pulled to the like 2 out of 5 star side of things, but then sometimes I want to be like, wow, like this part of it makes me want to give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think I'm pretty much going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. But let me say this, that 16-year-old Heather would have loved this series so much. It's like that 16-year-old me is still in there and just really liked the parts that almost read like fan fiction. So I apologize for the convoluted nature of this video. I am terrible at book reviews. So this is all sort of just like my brain vomit, I guess. If you liked this book series, I do not intend on hurting anyone's feelings. That's why I'm not really saying I didn't like it, because I didn't not like it. But from the basis, from the perspective of an entertaining book that was almost like eating cotton candy at times, I liked it. But from the perspective of kind of wanting something a little bit chewier, I didn't like it. So I don't know. That's pretty much why I'm confused and why I'm still talking. So if you liked this video and my confusing thought process and jumping from one book to another, which I can't imagine why you liked it, then give it a thumbs up. And if you like me, subscribe to my channel, that'd be really cool. I'm planning on doing a giveaway once I reach 1,000 subscribers, so keep that in mind. And yeah, that's it. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.